Independence Day!
Huh?
No!
The Flash is directed by Andy Muschietti, written by Christina Hodson, and stars Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, and Sasha Calle. It involves Barry Allen in the DCEU, going back in time to save his mother in an alternate timeline, thus creating a world where there's no metahumans, and he must team up with Michael Keaton's Batman, Sasha Calle's Supergirl in order to defeat General Zod, and there are huge implications for the DC universe moving forward. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review for The Flash. This one's been a long time coming. I actually did get to see it a couple weeks ago. I just, for one reason or another, did not get to it now because I just, have other things going on. But I think that was good ultimately because I wanted to kind of let the movie sit for a bit and collect my thoughts and do a little bit more of a less right out of the theater kind of reaction. So that I think that was good ultimately. I'm gonna go see it again on Thursday, so which is also good because we actually didn't get to see the final last little tease at the end of the movie. It kind of cut at an awkward place and then just showed the title of the movie and then it was over. And then we also didn't get to see the end credits scene. Both of those things have leaked online already, and unfortunately I did see them, so that was annoying, but it'll be different watching it in context in a theater. So just be wary online of spoilers, that stuff's out there, because even though I am part of the Snyderverse fandom, there is a portion of this group that is very toxic and wants to only have Snyderverse. That's the only thing that matters to them, and they're going to ruin this movie for anybody else who wants to see it, and I don't think that's cool. If you're excited about something, you should have the right to not be ruined, so that's annoying. But you know what, that aside, let's get right into the movie. With COVID delays and just the Ezra Miller situation, I'm not going to get into that in this video. If you want to talk about that, go to another video. I'm just talking about the movie here. But I was apprehensive because initially this was going to reset the Snyderverse to lead into Walter Hamada's universe, which was going to have Batgirl and Black Adam. Michael Keaton was going to stay on as the permanent Batman. Supergirl was replacing Henry Cavill. That didn't sound great to me, but now it's been kind of reconfigured to do the same thing, but for James Gunn's upcoming stuff. So, I wasn't too happy that the Snyderverse was being, erased or forgotten, and, I feel like I would have been okay with that had they let Zack just finish off the trilogy and then do this whole reboot thing. But this is where we are. That aside, I was moderately excited going into it because, all this hype was going around of people seeing it early, and it's the greatest superhero movie ever made, and it's this and that, and, I feel like doing all these early screenings might hurt it at the box office, but that's a whole other thing. So, getting to see it early with no critic reactions at the time when I got to see it, I will say it's a very good movie. It's definitely not what they've hyped it up to be. It's not one of the greatest ever. And it's definitely, I think it's worthy in existing for sure. And I don't think it ruins anything. It actually does pay moderate respect to the Snyderverse. It is canon with Zack Snyder's Justice League, as a line in the movie says. But it's not it's still not what they've hyped it up to be. And I'm going to get into why it isn't that and how they could have maybe fixed that. I'll start off with what is really great about this movie. One, Ezra Miller's performance is actually fantastic. Well, part of it's fantastic, because there's obviously the two Ezras, as you've seen in the marketing. The main Flash that we follow in this movie, that is the one that you've seen in all the other DCEU stuff, he's great. He actually gets to portray a large range of emotion that he's never had to do before, because even in the Snyder Cut, he was sort of relegated to being a supporting character until the end, when he has to reverse time and save everybody. So that was really great to see him finally come into this character, uh, and really embrace it. And I actually have really grown to like the new suit that they've given the Flash. Um, Before, when I saw it initially, it looked really like weird and bizarre, but actually when you see it in motion and you see how like bright the colors pop on screen, that's really cool to see. So I actually really like the new suit. Um, and then also just the other positives, like I think everybody for the most part does a great job with their performance. Michael Keaton is awesome in this movie. Every moment he has, it's like watching a straight continuation from Batman Returns. Although I will say he doesn't really get much of a character arc in this movie because he actually isn't in it that much, which was a little disappointing. You know, this the only person really that has like a character arc is Barry Allen. So I mean that's great. It is a Flash movie after all, but you know everybody else does a great job and gets some awesome moments to shine. But like Michael Keaton especially, he doesn't really he's not there to be a really interesting character. It's more just his character is what you know from Batman and Batman Returns, really. But you know, all things said, he's awesome. And the same goes for Supergirl. She does a great job, Sasha Kaye. I think that her her mannerisms and her performance actually it makes me a little sad that she's not going to be part of the DCEU, because I think she would have actually matched up really well with Henry Cavill. She's like her whole performance is actually quite similar to his and more like the sort of darker side of Kryptonians. So I was really happy with that. And then like General Zod, he's not really like he really doesn't get a lot of screen time. He's kind of just there to be the threat, and he is there to exposit some lines about what maybe if people haven't seen Man of Steel, what his whole deal is. So he's really just there to kind of be the person that they have to fight. The real villain of the movie is something I'm not going to spoil, but if you have followed any of the marketing materials, you already know what it is. So character-wise, this movie actually does quite a good job for the most part. The action is actually really exciting. I think actually my favorite action sequences are the opening scene with Affleck, and I'll just say Affleck also doesn't get a lot of screen time here, but what he has, he actually does great. But the opening action scene with Affleck and Barry Allen doing this like car chase, like there's criminals and Flash has to save some people from a building that's collapsing. It's really awesome actually, and that was actually like I was almost expecting when this movie started, like, oh my god, maybe this will be one of the greatest ever because this scene is amazing. So that sequence, and then also the sequence where the two Barrys and Keaton's Batman have to go find Supergirl in a Russian facility because this is kind of serving as sort of a pseudo replacement for the Flashpoint section with Superman. But that whole action sequence, Keaton really, he moves better in that sequence actually than he ever did in any of the Burton movies, which was really cool. So action-wise, character-wise, this movie gets it right. And then the just overarching story and like the character beats, especially for Barry, are for the most part done really well. The emotions there, the humorous moments are there, kind of. I'll get into that in a second. And then the fan service aspects, like you've heard, there's lots of cameos in this movie. There are. You don't really need to have them, to be honest. It's very shoehorned in. Nonetheless, it was cool to see. So those are definitely all the really cool aspects of this movie. And I do think overall, this is a movie I will watch multiple times just because it is a fun movie. It's got lots of what DC fans want to see in a movie, and it's very fast paced as well. So definitely those are the positives definitely outweigh the negatives, but I'm going to get into the negatives now because there are some things in here that really irritated me and kept it from being an amazing movie. So the humor really, like I'd say 60 to 70% of the time does not work at all. I've seen people say that this movie's hilarious. I think those people are probably like normies who think that like Two and a Half Men, and I don't know why I said Two and a Half Men, but like just like shitty sitcom humor is funny, and but they seem to think that that is like a recipe for good humor, and I'm so over superhero movies being just straight comedies. Like, I hate it when people say like, "Oh, I'm so sick of serious superhero movies." It's like serious superhero movies are not the they're the exception now. There is a lot of comedy in this movie, and for the most part, it's pretty cringe. So I was not into that, and there's a main culprit of that entire aspect of it, and it's Ezra Miller's second performance as the other Barry from the timeline he has to visit, where his mom is alive and he didn't get the Flash powers. That Barry is the most grating and irritating character I've seen in quite a long time, and I think that's kind of the point, because he has to the main Barry has to contest with this Barry to like realize, okay, maybe I can see what people are saying now with me being so irritating, but that doesn't make him still not irritating to me. He's very like, once the third act comes around, that character actually develops and is not such a grating presence anymore. But for the first two thirds, man, I really could not stand it. And then yeah, just the humor for the most part, like, there were definitely some funny moments that I did like, and I'm not going to say them because they'd be spoilers, but a lot of it, I'm sorry to say, kind of was like Justice League a little bit, and that was like, I really hope that the new Gunn universe, I know this was made before he even became involved, but I really hope they don't take the wrong thing away from this movie and double down on that kind of humor, because I really don't want to see that. So that was my biggest flaw with the movie. Otherwise, like, I really think that had they removed that much humor from the film, that this could have really worked and been one of the greatest ever. Because, like, you compare this with the Flashpoint Paradox animated movie, or just the Flashpoint comic in general, and it's so much better. Like, the stakes are taken seriously. There is humor in the right places, but not at the expense of dramatic moments. And it just works so much better. And I feel like maybe a straight Flashpoint adaptation would have been a better way to send off the Snyderverse, with like Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Thomas Wayne, having Reverse Flash in there, having Wonder Woman and Aquaman at war with each other. That would have been, I think, maybe the better way to go. Still, I'm, for the most part, pretty happy with what we got. With all that being said, I'm going to give my final rating now for The Flash. I think, as far as superhero movies even this year go, it's definitely not 10 out of 10 material. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was better, and definitely Spider-Verse was better, and that's not me being... I don't want to have Marvel movies be better. I'm a DC guy first and foremost, but I have to be honest. But I will give The Flash an 8 out of 10. It's definitely a really great, solid superhero movie, but it's just not what it's been hyped up to be. I think the future for the DCU is in question right now, at least for me. I'm still not entirely convinced, but if they can dial back the humor even just a little bit and like get a nice balance going, kind of like what Guardians 3 had, I'll be happy. And I really have a lot of questions still, because given what I've seen from the leaks of the stuff I haven't seen yet, of the ending and the post-credits scene, I'm questioning why they didn't just do this instead of that. I don't want to really give it away, but because it really has weird implications for the future. But anyway, that's my review for The Flash. I did see Transformers as well last week. I'm going to get a review out for that soon, hopefully, but I really wanted to get this one out first. Hopefully I can get some more DC news out. If they start casting anybody for Superman Legacy, or if there's big Comic-Con news next month for the DCU, I will make a video on that, because I feel like it's worth talking about. With that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.